What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Green Zone. As always, I'm your host, Sean Redden. Um, Join the conversation. I'll submit any questions or comments you may have, whether it's regarding the NFL or this upcoming college football slate as well. And I will try to put it on the screen if I see it and answer it as quickly as possible. I know kickoff is about a half hour away, so I'm not going to spend too much time on the intro. Let's jump right into the bet. Starting off with tonight, the Bengals at the Ravens. The Ravens are a 6-point favorite with the over under at 52.5. This should be a really exciting game, but honestly, I don't have a play on the side or a total in this one. To me, it looks right. The entire world, it seems like, is on the Bengals plus the 6. Given how that game went earlier in the season when these two teams matched up, and then the Ravens secondary has still been abysmal, even though their new addition Tre'Davious White, coming over at cornerback, should provide some help. He is going to make his debut tonight, but I still would not trust this defense, especially with him just coming over this week. I can't put any stock into how much of an effect he's going to have, at least this week, on this Ravens defense. That being said, I do have a prop that I really like in this game. Jermaine Burton over 23.5 receiving yards. This line actually opened at 18.5 is what I saw it at. Now it is all the way bet up to 23.5, but I think that is for good reason. Burton is a supremely talented receiver and was expected to be the guy to step in T. Higgins' absence, but off the field stuff and just personal discipline issues have caused Burton to not have the trust of the Bengals staff and the players in this one. That being said, all reports are saying that he's had a locked in week at practice and Joe Burrow was going to him often. And then even tonight, he was the first player out on the field for the Bengals. And Burrow was warming up with him tossing deep balls. He is an explosive receiver, so he can clear this number with even just one catch. But I expect Burton to be a focal point in this Bengals attack tonight. I really like Jermaine Burton over 23.5 receiving yards tonight. Now moving to Sunday, we have a game in Germany. The Giants at the Panthers. The Giants are a 6.5 point favorite with the over under at 40.5. Now the Panthers got a rare W last week against the Saints. Kudos to them. But if you look at the box score, it tells a different story. And when I'm analyzing for betting, I don't care who wins the game, whether or not I want to know how it happened in the context to that. And the Saints had Derek Carr back in his first game in weeks. So Russ was expected. Chris Olave went out early in the games, and they're already down Rashid Shaheed, so they were missing their top two wide receivers, and they were also missing their not one, not two, but three, their top three cornerbacks last week in that one. And the Saints still had almost 200 more yards of offense than the Panthers, and they picked up 25 first downs in that game to the Panthers 15. I don't know how the Panthers won that game with the stat line like that, but they did. So kudos to them. That being said, they are still one of the worst teams in the NFL. They're still horrible. And now, when you look at the Giants on the surface, you may think they are a really bad football team as well. But I still think they are leaps ahead of the Panthers. Daniel Jones struggles versus pressure. Good news for them, the Panthers generate zero pressure. And the Giants receivers are capable enough to be winning these matchups versus the Panthers secondary. And this Giants D line gets after the quarterback. They should feast on this Panthers O line and really wreak havoc on Bryce Young in this one. I honestly would bet the Giants up to like 9.5. 10 would probably be the cutoff point to where I would just pass on the game. But the fact that this game is 6.5, it's surely a bet on the Giants for me in this one. Patriots at the Bears. The Bears are a 6.5 point favorite with the over under at 38.5. Now the Bears are going to be missing a couple guys, a couple offensive linemen in this one, but to me that doesn't really cause concern against this Patriots defense that is among the bottom in the NFL when it comes to generating pressure, and that's even while they blitz the fourth most of any team in the NFL. They still don't get any pressure. Um, and I've said it before, and I've ate crow before, but I'm going to say it again. This has to be a spot for the Bears offense to get back on track. Caleb Williams should not see any pressure against this Patriots defense, and the Bears wide receivers are more than capable of winning the one-on-one matchups they'll see when the Patriots do bring the blitz. And the Bears are also going to be without two starters on defense for sure. One on the D line and one in the secondary, and two other guys are questionable as well. One among the D line and one in the secondary as well. And I've liked what I've seen out of Drake May so far, and I have faith that he's going to be able to move the ball and put up points in this one. I think this total was too low for these two offenses right now. I'm going to be on the over 38.5 in the Patriots Bears. Bills at the Colts. The Bills are a 3.5 point favorite with the over under at 47.5. Joe Flacco looked lost last week against that Vikings blitz. But again, good news for him. The Bills almost never blitz. Now, the Bills don't blitz because they have enough talent on their D line to where they're able to get pressure on the quarterback without blitzing. But nonetheless, not seeing the blitz is a really advantageous matchup for Joe Flacco and this Colts passing attack. The Bills' offense isn't an explosive unit, and they don't really put teams away. So the Colts should be able to hang around in this one. I would like to get a 4, so I'm not making a bet yet, but I am considering playing the 3.5 here. But it's not an official play. I'm hoping that a 4 pops as we get closer to game day for the Colts in this one. The Vikings at the Jaguars. The Vikings are a 7 point favorite with the over under at 44.5. I don't think I'm going to have a play in this one. I know they've played well, especially Sam Darnold, but I just don't think I can lay a touchdown with this Vikings team. But on the flip side, I could never stomach having a Jaguars ticket in this game. So right now, it's more than likely going to be a pass for me in the Vikings Jaguars. Broncos at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a 7.5 point favorite with the over under at 41.5. This Broncos team has gotten really overhyped with their weak schedule so far this year. Um, Kudos to them. Bo Nix has looked a lot better as the season went on. But just overall, especially the Broncos defensive side of things, they've got exposed last week when they finally played an elite offense in the Ravens. And now this Chiefs offense is not as explosive as the Ravens, but they're still a really super efficient unit and can score on this Broncos defense. And I think they have the talent on defense as well to be able to really limit Bo Nix and this Broncos offense. I would lay the 7.5 with the Chiefs, but I really love teasing the Chiefs down to 1.5 and teasing that with the Eagles, which we'll get to later, down to -1 versus the Cowboys. Now the Falcons at the Saints. The Falcons are a 3.5 point favorite with the over under at 46.5. The Saints just lost to the Panthers last week, then proceeded to fire their head coach Dennis Allen and traded their number one corner Marshawn Lattimore to the Commanders. Now I usually like playing on a team coming off a coaching change, but I can't do that in this one. The Saints they have no corners at all, and Chris Olave is going to miss this game as well, as he said he's going to take his time and really go through the process with the concussion protocol and really think about his long-term effects. This is now his second concussion in as many seasons. So I don't see, unless Alvin Kamara goes absolutely bonkers, I'm not sure how the Saints keep up with this Falcons offense, as Kirk Cousins should shred this skeleton crew that the Saints are going to have in the secondary in this one. I'm going to lay at this number. I'm going to lay it with the Falcons, lay the 3.5. 49ers at the Buccaneers. The 49ers are a 6.5 point favorite with the over under at 50.5. The biggest question in this game is how much will Christian McCaffrey play in this one, returning from his Achilles injury. The 49ers this season without him have still been able to move the ball efficiently, but they've severely struggled in the red zone. They're actually bottom 5 in the league in red zone touchdowns this season. Now, the logical reason for that to me is obviously no Christian McCaffrey. Last season, when he was in the lineup, they were top 5 in the league in red zone touchdowns. I'm going to have to wait and see, and hopefully it gets reported how much we can expect McCaffrey to be on the field in this one. If it's going to be in a limited capacity, then I honestly think I'm going to lean towards the Buccaneers plus the 6.5. But if McCaffrey is good to go and you're going to tell me he's going to get a full workload and we can expect him to get those red zone touches for the 49ers, then I think the over would be my best look in this one. But we have to wait and see. And I'm hoping that we're going to be able to get some reporting on what kind of role we can expect McCaffrey to have in this one. The Steelers at the Commanders. The Commanders are a 2.5 point favorite with the over under at 45.5. Now, this number has been bouncing back and forth between 2 and 3 all week. And here we are right in the middle of that at 2.5 tonight. The Steelers have been surprising me this year, just getting it done weekly. I mean, they are such a well-coached team with Mike Tomlin. Um, in this game, though, I think what the Commanders want to do on offense is a good matchup against what the Steelers want to do on defense. The Steelers want to get to the quarterback and apply pressure to mask their secondary issues. But Jaden Daniels gets the ball out super quick, and he can also tuck it and run and obviously escape the pass rush as well. I expect the Commanders to be able to move the ball efficiently in this one. Now, the Steelers' offense might be better than I rate them with Russell Wilson. I will give you that, but I still think they've been overachieving the past couple of weeks versus the Giants and the Jets. Both teams to me aren't as good as they're perceived based on their schedule so far this year, but I think Washington seems like the more sustainable system, and performance wise. So this number looks short to me. I'm going to lay the 2.5 here with the Washington Commanders versus the Steelers in this one. Titans at the Chargers. The Chargers are a 7.5 point favorite with the over under at 38.5. Honestly, I'm going to have to wait till Sunday to try to make a decision on this one. I don't think the Titans are going to be able to have much success offensively against this Chargers defense that is absolutely balling. And then the Chargers offense has looked better week to week. They actually hit an explosive play last week with the return of Quentin Johnston. But I'm not sure they're just a team that I want to lay 7.5 with because they tend to play so many low scoring games that it's hard in the NFL to pull away and win by margin when you're keeping teams around and just not lighting up the scoreboard yourself. And the Titans are also dealing with some injury concerns. Starting running back Tony Pollard has missed practice all week. And if he's not able to go, that could really hinder this offense, who doesn't have much of a passing attack to begin with. So if Pollard can't go, that really affects this Titans offense. I'm leaning towards the Chargers, maybe adding them in a teaser leg. But honestly, I'm going to have to think about this longer. Maybe I'll have something official come Sunday. The Jets at the Cardinals. The Jets are a 1.5 point favorite with the over under at 46.5. Now, this is going to be another game where the line has bounced back and forth all week. It was the Jets favored, then it was the Cardinals favored, and now we're back on the Jets being favored. But I think the Jets are the correct side in this one. The Cardinals have been seriously exceeding expectations so far this year, while the Jets have been a disappointment for most of the season. But I think the Jets have honestly figured it out on offense. We saw last week they finally got Devontae Adams going. But the biggest thing for me in that one is Devontae Adams finally had a big game. But Garrett Wilson on the other side also had one of his best games of the season. And I think with their schedule going forward, that's something that we can expect to see more often is the Jets just being an efficient offense and really getting those two guys going. And it should open up Brees Hall more on the ground as well. Now, the Jets offense tends to struggle with teams that get to the quarterback and can pressure Rodgers because the Jets offensive line is still not that great. But the Cardinals are not a team that gets to the quarterback. They don't really put pressure on them. And Aaron Rodgers should be able to sit back there and pick apart this Cardinal secondary. And in a game where you basically just need the Jets to win for you to cover this spread, I have to lay it with the Jets here -1.5. They're way more talented, and like I said, I think they've actually figured some things out on offense here. And then their schedule going forward, I think we're going to expect to see that more as the season goes on. Eagles at the Cowboys. The Eagles are a 7 point favorite with the over under at 42.5. Look, the Cowboys have been flat out terrible this season, and that's even with Dak. Now you're inserting Cooper Rush into that offense behind what's been a terrible offensive line, still no running game, and a lackluster group of receivers outside of CeeDee Lamb. But now he's even dealing with an injury. So who's to say he's going to be close to 100% in this one? And I've been saying it for weeks now. This Eagles defense has really found their stride with the emergence of Cooper DeJean and getting Sidney Brown back in that secondary. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is also playing his best football recently of the season. And they also, most importantly, have found a pass rush in the last few weeks. I just don't see a path for success in any way with this Cowboys offense in this one. And on the other side, this Cowboys run defense has been absolutely abysmal, and their pass defense hasn't been much better. Saquon Barkley I don't think the Eagles will ever give him the workload, but Barkley could realistically run for 200 yards against this Cowboys defense without even breaking a sweat. Um, I'm more than comfortable laying the 7 here with the current state of the Cowboys. I think the Eagles are in an absolute smash spot. Cowboys should be getting Micah Parsons back in this one as well. But like I said, with their offense just being as bad as it is, and Micah Parsons doesn't really help the run defense as well. He's more of a edge rusher coming around the edge. He actually will open up still some running lanes as well. Like it's more than comfortable laying the 7 here with the Eagles in this one. Now, Sunday Night Football is the Lions at the Texans. Sorry, just graphic went away. Lions at the Texans. The Lions are a 3.5 point favorite with the over under at 48.5. Pretty simple for me, just like last week where we bet the Jets against the Texans. This Texans offense has not looked that great at all this season. They looked much worse last week without Stephon Diggs and then still without Nico Collins in that one. Now, Collins is eligible to come off the IR this week, but he still has not practiced and they have not designated him to return. So it's looking like he's going to miss this game as well. And there is no way that this Texans offense keeps pace with this Lions offense if they're sending that same crew out that they sent last week. And on defense, Will Anderson, who is the Texans' best pass rusher, is also expected to miss this game as well as he's not practicing. And then That's a big blow to their D line, and this Lions offensive line is one of the best in the NFL. They should really push around this Texans defense. And like I said, this Texans offense without Nico Collins again and without Stephon Diggs, I like Tank Dell a lot. He's not a number one receiver, and outside of him, they don't have a guy that they can continuously look at as a go-to guy. Joe Mixon is going to do Joe Mixon things, but like I said last week, Joe Mixon can have a great game. You're not keeping pace with a good offense on the other side by just running the ball 40 times. You got to generate big plays. You got to generate something in the passing attack. And if Nico Collins is not going to be able to come back for them this week, I just don't see how they keep pace with the Lions. I really like the Lions minus 3.5 this week. And then Monday Night Football is the Dolphins at the Rams. The Rams are a 1.5 point favorite with the over under at 50.5. Both of these offenses have top five receiving cores with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill for the Dolphins, and then Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua on the other side for the Rams as well. But not only the passing attacks, Kyron Williams in the backfield for the Rams, Devin Achan, one of the most explosive backs in the NFL, in the backfield for the Dolphins. These two teams not only have elite players at the skill positions, they have explosive players at the skill positions, so we can see big plays and quick scores, which is why my favorite play in this one is going to be the over 50.5. I think we see a shootout Monday night in LA. As always, you can follow me on social media on X at SReddenSports, on IG at Red Hot Locks. If you want to know my official plays with the unit sizes, the amount of money that I'm putting on every bet, so you know my confidence level, not only for the NFL, but also for college football as well, you can subscribe to me on Dub Club. Links are all over my social media. Post them every week. They're also in my bio as well. Just click on the link tree and you can take you to every social media that I have, and including the picks as well. If you joined late and missed most of the show will be live. I mean, not live, but will be able to be watched back on YouTube any chance that you want. That being said, we're close to kickoff. I don't want to take up too much more time. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Best of luck. Bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you next week.